Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 video where today we've got a great video on how to get easier games. It's something that a lot of people want to know, how to get these easier games, and today we're going to dispel some of the myths and explain if this is at all possible, if it's actually possible to get easier games in FIFA 21 or if it is just a whole lot of myths. So starting off with myth number one, does playing at home equal easier games? This is something that came up a lot, especially last year in FIFA 20. A lot of people wanted to know if it was possible to get easier games just by playing at home. It was something that helped avoid playing the top players, helped you with lower skilled opponents, and also helped with better connection, or what people thought was better connection. Now, starting off with the first one, avoiding top players. This is something that what happened a lot of the time was there was a glitch in FIFA 20 which allowed you to play against easier players. If you were able to dictate whether you was playing at home or away, you was able to tell before you got into the game if you had a home or away game. So a lot of the top players used to play at home. Obviously, if all the good players were playing at home, it means you were always going to not play against one of the good players because they wouldn't take the away game. So why does that matter for people who are necessarily in goal 2? I don't think it really makes a huge difference. I don't think you're going to get people in goal 2 that would take advantage of this glitch. First and foremost, there isn't a glitch like this in FIFA 21 anyway. It's not something you can even take advantage of, even if you could. Next up would be the better connection. Does playing at home actually equal a better connection? I don't personally believe that. The way that connection works in FIFA is if you, let's say, are playing at home and you have an extremely good connection, and then you're playing somebody else who you've matched up against who has a bad connection, whether you have the good connection, what's going to happen is you're going to get throttled down to match the lower person's connection so that it is a more even game, because their connection can't come up to yours. So yours has to go down to them. So that's why people still sometimes experience lag in games and delay and things like that, because that lag and delay is because you're being throttled. You're having to play on a lower caliber internet to make up for the person you're playing having a lower quality internet. That's why you still experience delay and lag and things like that. Yes, servers do have an impact, but it does impact who you're playing and what their connection is like anyway. That's why it's always important to make sure you take the best ping games. If you get a high ping game, just back out and wait for one that does suit how you like to play. Now, to back up further what we're saying, the home and away games, I wanted to show what my home and away record was for this past week in FUT Champs. Now, I did only play 20 games. I didn't manage to get all 30 games in. I just didn't have the time. But so to back this up further, our home games, we managed to play 8 games. We managed to win 6. We lost 2 and we scored 22 goals. So we had a pretty decent record at home. But you can see we didn't even manage to play 50% of our games, or that 50% of the 20 games at home. Whereas away from home, we played 12 games, we won 11 of them, only losing 1 but scoring 40 goals. So we did actually have a slightly better win rate away from home as opposed to at home. Now, I assume you could do this for every single weekend league. You could write down whether your games were home or away. Ultimately, I don't think it really matters. I think at the end of the day, you're playing a game, you're either better than the person or you're not. If you're better, you'll win. If you lose, you are obviously the worst player. I don't think whether you play at home or away necessarily impacts whether the quality of opponent you come up against. Now, myth number 2, question number 2 that I do get asked quite a lot is, should I bronze bench for easier games? Does this make a difference? Now, we are going to dive deeper and discuss this further in a future video coming up. So if you do want to see that, make sure you drop a thumbs up on this video, and do let me know in the comment section if you do have any other questions regarding this video or questions for future videos or anything that you would like to have answered. Make sure you put them down in the comment section and we will get around to answering them as quick as we can and as best as we can. So moving back into the bronze benching. Now, what bronze benching is essentially, as you can see, it is basically putting a full bronze bench, putting the lowest rated players that you can onto your bench. And the theory is it brings the overall team rating down. Therefore, you will match up against other people who have lower rated teams. Now, the theory is if somebody has a lower rated squad, they don't have as many coins because they probably don't finish high in FUT Champs to gather a large amount of coins. So the theory is if you bronze bench lower rated teams equal easier opponents. Now, we are going to dive deeper into this topic in a future video. And then myth number 3 is starting bad on purpose to lower form. So should you start by throwing a couple of your games, maybe losing a few games on purpose to lower your form to allow you to win more games later on? This is something that came up quite a lot. towards the back end of FIFA 20, especially in FUT Champs. Now, from my opinion, why this makes no sense, why you wouldn't do this at all. Let's say you start 1 and 4. So to work out your form, you minus your wins from your losses. Now 1 minus 4 is -3. You can't have a form of -3 because it starts at 0 and it caps at 15. So if you start 1 and 4, your form is 0. You start 5 and 0, your form is 5. Obviously the first couple of games, first 5 games are your placement games. Let's say you're someone who is 14 and 4. So you're currently 14 and 4. 14 minus 4, your form is 10. Now, you might be somebody who sits there and goes, at around 10 form, that is kind of when I start to struggle. I start kind of trading wins and losses. You know, I might win one, I might lose one. That's kind of where my skill level is at. So you might be 14 and 4, your form is 10. You then finish 20 and 10. So your last 12 games, you have traded, you know, a win for a loss, 6 wins, 6 losses. If you are 18 and 3, so now your form is 15. So, you know, based on what you believe, if you someone who believes that your form is around 10, that's about your level. At 15, you're playing well above your level, so it's more than plausible that you could easily go on a 5-win slide, lose 5 games, and you now go from 18 and 3 to 18 and 8. So you've got 4 games left. Your form is now 10. You win one, you lose one. You're going to be 20 and 10 either way. So whether you do this or not, I don't think it makes a massive difference. You will always hit that same form score, it's just in a different roundabout way. So I don't think that you throwing games early on is necessarily going to make it easier. From my own experience, last week I started 1 and 2, so I had only won 1 and I'd lost 2, which is a pretty poor start by my own standards. But I managed to go from 1 and 2 to 16 and 2, so I managed to win 15 straight games after that, bringing my form all the way up to 14 because I was playing against people who were just worse than me. I was just able to beat them. So that's why I don't think throwing games early on, whether you start well, whether you start badly, typically your form will equal out and your score will always end up the same. So this is kind of a bit of a backwards way of thinking and doesn't really have any purpose. So with a couple of myths got out of the way, then the question might be, so is there actually a way that you can get yourselves easy games? And ultimately the answer is no. There is no sort of holy grail system that anyone is going to be able to show you and exploit you to give you 30 wins, to make you play 30 people who are worse than you. At the end of the day, you can't play around the algorithm, you can't play around the elo system. You're always going to play people who are about your skill level. And if there's a way to try and get easier games, it is just to try and improve, because there will be games against some of the lower skilled opponents that you might be losing. But one tip that we do have is make sure you do go and check out our how to improve video. It's got some great tips in there to help you improve and some things you can do. We've also got a video coming up with some skill moves that are going to be very vital for you to use. If you're someone who is maybe struggling, you don't know what skills to use, you don't quite know where to go, that is the video to watch, so watch out for that. But ultimately, it's just about practicing. It's about playing. If you're losing games you know you should win, you are obviously doing something wrong. Yes, there is some aids and things like that that do happen in this game, but there will be some things on your behalf that you can do. Make sure you just control what you can control, and that is all you can do. And then whatever happens after that, yes, then it's out of your control, but make sure you do what you can control. A good tip I have is, you can see we've got Ciro Immobile. You can see him on the screen. The goal to game ratio we have, and we played 35 games, we've got 44 goals and 20 assists on him. Now, someone like Immobile is not someone you would consider meta. He's only got 3-star skills, only got a 4-star weak foot. He's not super fast. He hasn't got great agility and balance. So the key stats, in quotes, that are meta in this game, Immobile doesn't have any of them. But yet, look at the goal to game ratio I've been able to accumulate on him just through playing champs and rivals. We've got a fantastic ratio. And something that I would recommend is make sure you get players who fit your style of play, not just players who are meta. I see so many people who get full meta squads and they still struggle. And the one thing that I would advise anyone to do is find out what your style of play is. Think about how you like to play FIFA, what your style is, and buy the players that suit that style of play. And you will do far, far better than trying to force meta players into your team and trying to play in a way that doesn't suit how doesn't suit your strengths. If you're someone who just buys really fast players but you don't like to play the ball in behind and use the wings and things like that, then it doesn't make any sense. So you have to buy players who fit your style, and make sure you just practice smart. Again, we've got a great video on how to improve. If you want to find out more about that, make sure you go and watch that video, because that is where you will pick up a lot of those tips. But that is it for this video, guys. So if you do have any questions, make sure you do drop them in the comment section and we'll get around to answering them as quick as we can. Make sure you do subscribe if you do enjoy the content and you would like to see more. Make sure you do as well follow us on Twitter if you want any questions answering over there, as we will answer them over there as well. But that is all today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.